interesting psychological study once it's on this side.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, down.
Do a psychological study.
And what?
And then why it sits over here.
Are we representative by the police department?
Oh.
What's going on?
Do they know something we don't?
Apparently. My anxiety should be better, but it's not.
This is bulletproof, right? Like, you just hit the.
We're not really at 15 seconds.
Well, we're all wondering whether we should be worried that there's 3 members
with
of the police
the,
department. Do they know something we
Confirm
don't
that
know?
this is bulletproof.
We're going to wait a couple minutes. This is off about 45 seconds.
Okay. All right, we'll wait.
But you have our attention.
Yes. You can blame
We'll
this.
wait for the.
You can blame the slide push.
Those tabs in yourself?
Oh my God, yes, I did.
No, you
believe,
didn't.
You believe that?
How come he gets tabs?
Because I bought them.
I see how this goes.
I didn't even give him a notebook.
Favorites. Favorites, favorites, favorites.
All right. So sometimes it's on there.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to call this Tuesday, March 5th, 2019 meeting of Middletown City Council to order. If you'd please stand and join me in a moment of meditation and then pledge allegiance to the flag. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Skank, if you'd please call the roll.
Ms. Vittori.
Here.
Mr. Bohannon.
Here.
Mr. Moon.
Here.
Mr. Mulligan.
Here.
Mayor Mulligan.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to excuse the mayor from tonight's meeting.
So moved?
Second. Ms. Skank, would you call the roll?
Ms. Vittori.
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon.
Yes.
Mr. Moon.
Yes?
Mr. Mulligan.
Yes. All right, the first item on our agenda tonight is we have 3 public hearings. The first one is a right-of-way vacation, petition 1-19, a request by petitioner Jake Rudemiller, P.E., on behalf of Brett Oakley for 2 portions of right-of-ways to be vacated near the intersection of Clark Street and Reinhardt Boulevard. The right-of-way vacation is an unnamed alley that is a total of .059 acres, and the second right-of-way vacation is a portion of Reinhardt Boulevard that is a total of .042 acres. If approved, the portions of the vacated street and alley will be considered with the surrounding properties for the recent approved townhome development to be constructed in the spring of 2019. And Ms.
Basically gave my presentation.
Sorry.
Good evening. No, you're good. If you want to go ahead and go to the first map for me. I'll kind of give a background. Like Tal said, earlier last year, we had a map amendment come in and a right-of-way vacation that was approved by Planning Commission as well as City Council. We'll be having a new townhome project starting there at Clark Street. There'll be townhomes, they'll be redoing the residences you see there, as well as the apartment building that you can kind of see in the back of the photo. Originally, when that alley vacation came in, they had thought that triangle piece was a part of that vacation, and then soon found out that it's the city of Middletown owned it. Scott Tadish, Public Works Director, worked with the applicant and myself and determined that they did not need that portion of Reinhardt. So we worked, and that's what you see in front of you. You can see the longer piece of the alley that was already vacated, as well as it's like an L, backwards L. But what we're looking at tonight is that triangle piece. And Scott Tadish approved it, as well as Rob Nichols, the engineer, and then Planning Commission recommended approval based on everyone's approval. So that concludes my staff report for the first one.
All right, is there anyone to speak in favor of the vacation? Hearing none, is there anyone to speak in opposition to? We will close this right-of-way vacation petition 1-19 and move on to the second one. Right-of-way vacation petition 2-19, a request by petitioner City of Middletown on behalf of Cohen Brothers for 3 portions. Lamnick Street, total 1.1218 acres. Calumet Avenue, total of 1.018 acres. And Grand Avenue, total of .634 acre of public right-of-ways to be vacated. If approved, the portions of streets will be vacated and consolidated with the surrounding properties owned by Cohen Brothers Properties Limited, and Barrett Paving Materials.
If you'd go to the next map for me. So Rob Nichols, city engineer, initiated this with Cohen Brothers and Barrett Paving. In 2016, the city executed an agreement with Norfolk Southern and Ohio Rail Development Commission to close the rail crossing at Grand Avenue near University Boulevard. In 2018, the city executed a project to remove the pavement and curb opening along University Boulevard. To remove the remnants of the former railroad crossing, Cohen Brothers had requested the city vacate the right-of-way for the streets adjacent to their property that is no longer needed since the roads are only used by Cohen Brothers. Again, these roads are in poor shape, and Rob pointed out that he's been working with them with quite some time and didn't realize that part of this process was to bring the right-of-way vacation to you. So, Planning Commission reviewed this based on Rob Nichols' approval and our approval. They recommend approval to you tonight, and that concludes staff report for this one.
Thank you. Is there anyone to speak in favor of the change? Hearing none, is there anyone to speak in opposition to? All right, and hearing none, we'll close that public hearing as well. Finally, the last public hearing is the 2019 Annual Action Plan regarding HUD funding. The City of Middletown, as directed by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, is submitting its program year 2019 Annual Action Plan, setting the program, activities, and budget for the Community Development Block Grant Program. I believe, is Mindy?
Your Honor, Mindy Mueller is here. She gave a presentation at one of the earlier council meetings to go over that program. It's been placed in your packet and on the webpage. It's ready for the public hearing tonight. If there are any questions, Ms. Mueller's here to answer them.
Does council have any questions as proposed?
Any questions from the public?
Oh, yes, thank you. Anyone to speak in favor of the HUD Annual Action Program, CDBG? Anyone opposed? All right, hearing none, we'll close that public hearing as well. Moving on to city manager reports.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. 2 items tonight. I had received a request from Councilwoman Vittori regarding some summer recreation programming in our parks. I've done a little bit of preliminary discussion with Public Works and the park staff. We are, frankly, don't believe we have the ability, being March already, to put this together as staff. That being said, I have reached out in the past to both CBI and the Y, and they have said in the past that if we wanted to provide some funding, they had some programs that were basically canned and ready to go, that if they had money and staff, or money, they could hire the staff, put the programs into play. If council is okay with it, I would like to reach out to CBI. I know they've, again, I'm going from memory, but at least a couple years ago when I was talking to them, they had summer programs already in place at Douglas Park, and I think it was Wildwood and Creekview Elementaries. I'd like to see what they're doing already, see what they could do if we added more funding to their pot to do stuff in the summer. And then also I can reach out to the Y and see what programs they would have that would complement maybe what CBI is doing, come back to council within a couple meetings with an idea of what we think we could do, what it would cost. But I think if we're going to do something in 2018, the best option would be to use our partners that already have programming ready and just fund them as a beginning level. I will tell you, as I was talking to my staff, that the next person I would add on to the city staff, if it was up to me, would be a full-time recreation person. I think we've reached the point where the day-to-day stuff, we've got a dog catcher back, we've got some of the other stuff that we really nuts and bolts back. I would like to add, the next person would probably be a recreation person. And then the idea would be, full-time, they would work on getting that set up. In the summer, we'd hire high school kids and, temporary staff to do things for those types of things. Would that be an acceptable way for us to move forward and bring back maybe a meeting or two later, what they could do, the types of programming, the types of funding that would require to put that together? Would that keep everybody moving in an acceptable way?
Sounds good to me.
Just one question. Would we also reach out to Butler Metro Parks, or would they only service parks that they own?
They generally, I can reach out to them, and Collie, would you write that down, please? I will reach out to them. I believe they're fairly limited in what their abilities are, but it never hurts to ask.
Right.
Because they have done things with us, like the community gardens down at near the community center. They have run those for several years, and that may be another thing that maybe in 20 that we could set up an additional program with them, but I'll ask them too. That's a great idea. Thank you. Second thing is, we've been talking about smart cities off and on for a couple months now. I sent council an email earlier with some of our updates. We seem to be heading down two paths, and I think both of them are acceptable, but I think there's a smarter way to do it. The first thing is, I think we want to get Wi-Fi downtown. I've heard all of council, at least what I think is a general interest in getting Wi-Fi for our Dora area downtown sooner than later. We do have a proposal from Cincinnati Bell that I would like to run down all the way to the end and see exactly how it would do, how long it would take to go. But it's it was under $30,000 as I remember the cost. I would like to run that down. And then the bigger piece is smart cities overall. What do we mean as smart city? What does that mean to the city of Middletown? We got one bid from HP Energy. It was rather high on an assessment. Since then, Spectrum has reached out to us and come and talked to us once. They're going to give us some more information. I had lunch with Duke Energy today. They are now entering the smart city arena. They would also like to sit down with us. The mayor and a couple other people have sent me a couple seminars coming up in April and May on what the latest cutting edge stuff's being done in other cities. This is kind of the bigger picture that I think we all want to take our time and do right as we move forward. But my guess is if I got working on the Cincinnati Bell thing, we could probably get Wi-Fi downtown maybe by Memorial Day. And so again, if council is comfortable with that approach, I'd like to look at how we could get Wi-Fi downtown late spring or as early as practical. Get that up and running so that we know that that piece is there, and then slow down a little bit on the bigger piece of what does smart cities mean in our neighborhoods. What does it mean for lighting? What does it mean for crime? And you know, what as a city do we think we might want to do larger term that we can incorporate into future budgets in a more reasonable way? And again, I'm looking for some input from council if they think that's an appropriate style of putting this thing together.
I also think down the road, there's funding available, so I appreciate the kind of incremental approach to it, in so much as this first piece is rather affordable.
Right.
And knowing the next pieces get into the hundreds of thousands, but knowing that cities like Fairborn have gotten entirely funded, which if we take the time to do, I would think we could as well.
And I think so too, but we're just not quite there, but I don't want to delay the downtown Wi-Fi for another, 4 to 6 months of, I don't want to, I want to learn the right way to do this if we're going to do it.
I find that approach to be smart.
I'm interested in that approach as well. The question that's coming to my mind is, when HP did their proposal, we were having a lot of data that came out of it. Since it's simply Wi-Fi, it's simply Cincinnati Bell. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati doesn't have the liabilities of what's being searched and when and how and at what hours. Cincinnati Bell has that. Okay.
Well, and we will run that down. Okay. Like I said, when we bring it to you, we'll have that worked out and make sure that the other piece of that is if we go with some other group down the road, do we leave Cincinnati, do we leave that in place and add a different smart cities, or do we shift the whole thing to a new vendor? We'll have to figure that out on the front end with Cincinnati Bell, but the idea is to get Wi-Fi up and running downtown, again, as quick as practical. We would bring you a supplemental appropriation for under $30,000 is what I'm expecting, which we should be in good shape to do.
And it should be noted that we can actually make money off of that going forward, because we can sell advertisements. So over time, we could actually pay that back that number back and make money.
I agree. It gives us a lot.
Just for the record.
So if both of those pass forward are acceptable, we'll get to work on that. But I wanted to bounce that off of council to make sure I was heading in a direction that everybody was comfortable with. That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to our citizen comments. Tonight we have Julie Joy Smith from the Butler County Auditor's Office with us. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me a few minutes. As Councilman Bohannon mentioned earlier, I'm here again. Time flies when you're having fun. So some of the things going on the first of the year in the auditor's office, it's a busy time for us, but a lot of it has to do with revenue. So the real estate tax bills were due February 28th, which means we'll have a settlement right around the corner. We wait for the treasurer to reconcile that collection and certify it to our office. In the short term, for those entities who have requested it, we did in advance the week of February 18th. And we will do the second and final advance this week. So I know they're busy working on that as we speak. And then shortly, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we should have the remainder of the settlement dispersed to the entity. So I realize how important that is to your bottom line. So we like to move that along as quickly as possible. One of the topics that is not going to be new to you that I'll be talking about a little bit this year is the fuel quality testing. Now, last year we were hopeful we could get something to the legislative floor, but we were not successful with that. This year, early in the quarter, we've garnered support from the Ohio Township Association and the Farm Bureau, who both organizations have said that they will make this a legislative priority for 2019. Last week, there was some bad press regarding a gas station a little west of here in Madison, where they had 4 vehicles disabled due to water in the tanks. Journal News reported that. Shortly thereafter, we received another report from a gas station in Westchester, similar situation with several cars disabled. With the governor talking a lot about a gas tax and the transportation budget, our feeling from a county auditor point of view is this isn't a wonderful opportunity to maybe tack that in to the transportation budget, because if we're going to be paying more at the pump, we might as well be able to certify the quality of what's going into our tanks. So there has been a little movement. It looks like we're getting some bipartisan support on this locally from our local legislators. State Representative Bridget Kelly in Cincinnati is one of the first to actively try to offer an amendment to the transportation bill. Her language mirrored a lot of what we had already provided to a lot of the legislators in the area. I realize, again, you can't do anything collectively as a board, but you do sometimes have the ear of the local legislators. And it's just our opportunity to say that this is really important to the consumers in Ohio to have their wallets protected when they get bad gas, or to prevent it from getting bad gas. So again, we're just kind of banging on this one to see if we can get anything done through this. The next item on my list doesn't really pertain to Middletown as much as you would think, but the CAUV renewals are due Monday, or were due yesterday. Well, what is today? Tuesday? Yes. Monday, March 4th. I've had a busy week and it's only Tuesday. And while you might think, well, there's not a whole lot of farmland left here in Middletown, ironically, there's still over 500 acres active in CAUV within the city limits of Middletown. So there is some out there, but this is just an opportunity for those taking advantage of that exemption to get their renewal in. And then finally, as I tend to mention this time of year, the Board of Revision. It's that opportunity for taxpayers to appeal the value of their home, either up or down. And in case of Middletown, we've had a series of people actually apply to have their values raised. I'm not so sure how it looks this year. I haven't really seen the statistics yet, but that deadline is fast approaching. Normally it's March 31st, but it falls on a weekend, so everyone has till April 1st this year to file with the Board of Revision. And once again, if you have any questions about anything I've mentioned, either past or tonight, I'd be happy to talk about it.
Any questions for Ms. Smith?
And I'll be back as soon as you know. Second quarter will be around. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. I have received no citizens' comments cards, so we can move on to our consent agenda, Ms. Kank.
For your consideration this evening, we have the approval of the city council minutes from January 22nd and February 5th, 2019. We have the confirmation of the personnel appointments of Brittany Grimes to the position of Human Resources Specialist in the Human Resources Department, William Paulin and Daryl Barnett, to the position of Maintenance Workers in the Department of Public Works and Utilities, Garrett Downing to the position of Patrol Officer in the Department of Public Safety, Division of Police, Josh Meisner to the position of Firefighter EMT, Department of Public Safety, Division of Fire, and Austin Idlemiller to the position of Zoning Inspector, Department of Economic Development. We're going to confirm the reinstatement of Jeffrey Palmer to the position of Mechanic, Department of Public Works and Utilities in the Municipal Garage. Receive and file the minutes from the Board of Health from January 8, 2019. Receive and file performance bonds submitted by Sawyer's Mill Project 1, LLC, guaranteeing public improvements to be constructed as part of Sawyer's Mill Section 1 subdivision and releasing letters of credit provided in 2012 by Sawyer's Mill, LLC, covering the same work.
Is there a motion to approve the issues and actions before us on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Skank, would you call the roll?
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
All right, and we have one motion item.
To approve the purchase of a medics fire medic off the ODAS contract from Penn Care of Niles, Ohio, in the amount of $144,657.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Skank, would you please call the roll?
Wait a second. If I could
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
update you just briefly, and just wanted to clarify the staff report for that. The amount that you're paying tonight for the medic is $144,657. There was a second number of $200,000 in the staff report, and that is going to include $43,931 that you're going to see at the March 19th meeting for the power cot that goes in it. The remainder of that $200,000 is small items, the lights, the sirens, the things that go on that. We wanted to make sure that we were clear that tonight's purchase is only for the medic unit, just the ambulance itself. Thank you.
Any questions? Other questions? Thank you. Ms. Skank, you can now call the roll.
Okay, Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
All right, and we can move on to our council comments. Mr. Mulligan?
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no comments tonight.
Mr. Bohannon? Ms. Vettori?
Nothing, thank you.
All right. I just had one item. Tomorrow at 6 p.m., Middletown City Schools is hosting a Latino community open house. It's going to be something for the community to see what the community has to offer, both, I believe, from employment and then as well as resources such as the RTA and just educating that segment of our community. So if you have interest or family members that would benefit from that, please invite them out. And with that, we can move on to our legislation. Ms. Cohen.
Thank you, sir. We have 8 matters for your consideration this evening. There is one we are asking you to consider as an emergency. So I'd first ask for a motion to waive the charter requirements for 2 readings and 30 days to enactment for Resolution R 2019-10.
I move to waive the charter provisions requiring a reading on 2 separate days and declaring Resolution 2019-10 an emergency measure and read only one time.
Second?
Ms. Skank, would you call the roll?
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Thank you. The first matter is ordinance O 2019-08, an ordinance amending section 618.17, the dangerous and vicious dogs, and enacting section 618.25, hearings for dog designations of the codified ordinances. I believe this is a second reading and ready for action.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved?
Mr. Atkins, I don't believe there's anything to add.
There's not, Your Honor. This puts our local ordinance in compliance with the ORC. There was a presentation made, and it's ready for your action this evening.
There's no questions. Ms. Skank, would you call the roll?
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Next matter is Resolution R 2019-09, a resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Middletown, counties of Butler and Warren, State of Ohio, for the period ending December 31st, 2019. This is the Police Grant Fund. I believe this is also a second reading and ready for your action.
Is there a motion to adopt?
Second?
Any further questions for staff? Hearing none. Ms. Skank, if you call the roll?
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Next matter is Resolution R 2019-10, a resolution requesting the auditor of Butler County to advance the treasurer of the City of Middletown, Ohio, taxes assessed and collected for and on behalf of the City of Middletown and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to adopt?
Second?
Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor. As you're aware, and Julie just referenced, Butler County does collect property taxes on behalf of the City of Middletown. We have the option to pass a resolution that requests advance payment of those property taxes, which allows us to put that money into play sooner in the City of Middletown. We pass this resolution every year, and we are requesting emergency so that we can get the money from the county.
Any questions for staff? All right. Ms. Skank, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
The fourth matter this evening is Resolution R 2019-11, a resolution declaring the necessity of repairing certain sidewalks, curbs, gutters, and driveway aprons in the City of Middletown, and requiring that abutting property owners repair the same and declaring an emergency. No action requested until March 19th.
Your Honor, on this one, as you're aware, each year we do both a paving resolution and we do a gutter and curb and driveway cement resolution. This is the second one of those for the year, the cement and gutters. For property owners, you've seen the packet and the assessments and the map of everything that's to be done this year, and it will be ready for your emergency approval on March 19th, which will allow us both to get started on it and give homeowners the most time to get the work done.
Any questions? All right.
Next matter is ordinance O 2019-10, an ordinance authorizing the submission of an application for federal assistance, an action plan, and a projected use of funds under Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, as amended for program year 2019 and declaring an emergency. No action requested until March 19.
Your Honor, you had a public hearing on this a couple meetings ago, and of course, a presentation a couple meetings ago, and the public hearing this evening on that, and it'll be ready for your action at the next meeting as an emergency, so we can get it into March to HUD by March 31st.
Any questions? Thank you.
Number 6 is ordinance O 2019-11, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a contract with Bo Townsend Ford for the purchase of a 2016 Chevrolet Tahoe LS. It's the first reading.
Your Honor, the Division of Police has a 2002 Chevy Suburban, which was confiscated in a drug seizure back in 2006. We have used that for our plainclothes unit for several years. It has reached the end of its life. We will put that on Gov Deals, and we would like to buy this vehicle in replace of that unit. And we do have money in the budget from 2019 to cover this purchase.
Any questions?
Looks like we need to buy 2 new ones, too.
We will need
Yeah.
to replace 2 new ones. That's just,
All right. Go ahead.
Ready? Number 7 is ordinance O 2019-12, an ordinance vacating an alley near the intersection of Clark Street and Reinhardt's Boulevard and a portion of Reinhardt's Boulevard. It's the first reading.
Your Honor, this one and the next one were the subject of the 2 public hearings this evening, and they'll be ready for your action at the next meeting.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Last matter is ordinance O 2019-13, an ordinance vacating portions of Lamneck Street, Calumet Avenue, and Grand Avenue. Also here for first reading.
Any further questions from council? All right, thank you very much. The last item on our agenda tonight is an executive session under the authority of ORC 121.22G2 to consider the purchase of property for public purposes or for the sale of property at competitive bidding if premature disclosure of information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage, and under the authority of ORC 121.22G3, conferences with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action, and under the authority of ORC 121.22G8 to consider confidential information related to the marketing plan, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance or to negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting a request for economic development assistance, provided that both of the following conditions apply. 1, the information is directly related to the request for economic development assistance that is to be provided or administered under any provision of Chapter 715, 725, 724, or 728, or Sections 701.07, 3735.67 to 3735.70, 5709.40 to 5709.43, 5709.61 to 5709.69, 5709.73 to 5709.75, or 5709.77 to 5709.81 of the revised code, or that involves public infrastructure improvements for the extension of utilities that are directly related to an economic development project. 2, a unanimous quorum of the public body determines by roll call vote that the executive session is necessary to protect the interests of the applicant or the possible investment of expenditures of public funds to be made in connection with the economic development project.
Good job.
I already picked a good one to make. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Skank, would you call the roll?
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes.
Ms. Vettori.
Yes.
After our executive session, we'll be in recess until our Tuesday, March 19th, 2019 meeting. Thank you all and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good job.